Security
No,
cameras
I
are
enjoyed
virtually
doing
everywhere
those
these days,
CCTV
and they
videos so
constantly
much,
record
I'll do
whatever
another
they're
one.
pointed at. This usually results in hours and hours of boring
So
footage.
let's
But
check another
occasionally,
one
they
out.
capture something unbelievable, and often events that
This one
seem
is supposed to
frightening.
be
We trawl through
15
all of the ones
scary
out there to find the best.
things caught
So
on
here are
security
15 of the
cameras.
scariest security camera videos that have ever been captured. Before we begin, make sure to hit
I
the
can
like
tell you
button,
right now that
subscribe to our
already
channel,
looks
and click the
absurdly
notification bell for
ridiculous.
more amazing videos every day. With that being said, let's
uh,
begin. Number 15. Strange creature climbing. This footage was taken from inside a
I
store.
don't think
When
I
a man
would say
heard a
it's a
commotion coming
strange
from outside. When he
creature.
looked across the street, he saw a strange-looking woman who was behaving in a peculiar way. She stared at him and was crawling in the
First
street.
of all, how
By
can
the
you
time
tell
he had
that's a
focused the
woman?
camera on her, she had begun to start climbing
Because
up
that's
a
a
pillar in the
dress, I
building.
guess.
The way she moves and her extraordinary ability at climbing
Yeah,
suggests
but there's
that she's
all
no
kinds of
normal
people
person.
that can
But what is
scale
she?
buildings
It's
and
almost
stuff like that.
animalistic, the way
That's
that she effortlessly
not
ascends the
a
structure.
creature
And there
other
seems
than
to
a
be no
human
concern
being.
for her safety, as her legs flail behind her at points. Could
What?
she be a ghost?
No.
Or just someone who's really desperate to get back to her apartment and will do anything to get there? Her clothing also seems strange, almost like she's only just got out of bed. The shopkeeper
Well,
who
lots
captured
of
the
people
recording
dress
hadn't seen
like
her in
that.
the area before, and when he shared the video, he hadn't seen her since. Despite keeping a
I've
watch
worked
out for her,
retail for
what do you think
years.
is
I get
happening
people
here?
come in
And is there any
sometimes you
simple
wonder they look
explanation for how
just
she's
like they got
climbing
out
this
of bed,
way?
so
Number
that's kind of no
14.
surprise.
Woman possessed by spirit. This security camera was recorded in an office complex. As you can see, it's late at night and one of the employees is still working hard at her desk. Another walks past her, but something doesn't quite look right. Suddenly, she disappears into thin air. And this is
What?
just the beginning of the strange events that happened that evening. A few seconds later,
Uh-uh.
the woman at the desk starts convulsing. She leans forward on her head onto the desk, and then the chair is flung backward.
Get a
Next,
seizure.
she stands up and starts to awkwardly walk around the room with her arms flailing. She retches and writhes and
Ew.
falls over into the furniture before finally lurching backward and falling to the floor. While this is happening, her computer monitor ominously turns itself off too, which is a further sign of something
Well, she
paranormal
was
taking
kind of
place.
slamming
Once
things
have settled for a
around and
moment,
stuff,
the ghostly
so
figure reappears and walks out of the office, presumably having successfully completed whatever
they
she had
could
come
have
here
done
to
it.
do. This is one of the most compelling videos of a possession that's
That's
ever been recorded, and it's
really
frightening how
weird.
easy the woman's body was taken control of. It's not clear who she was or what she might have done to incur the wrath of the mysterious spirit, but she had no recollection of the incident afterward. It was only when the building security
Well,
had
that
suspicions
spirit
that
doesn't
someone
know
was
how to
interfering
operate
with
that
office
body very
equipment
well.
that they looked at the footage, and needless
If
to
that's
say,
what
none of
happened,
them
if
could believe their
possession was
eyes.
what
Number
happened,
13. Alien
it was
intruder.
like a drunk
The
driving
homeowner who
incident.
recorded this next video had been noticing some unusual things happening around his house. There were strange noises, things were being
Brother.
moved, and people who visited had the unnerving sense that they were being watched. To find the answer once and for all
It's like
about
that
what
old
was
Bugs
going on,
Bunny
he
cartoon.
installed a
You ever get the
security camera
feeling
to the
you
roof
was being
garden,
watched?
and then waited to see what he would find.
Oh,
He
brother.
expected to discover it was an animal visiting his property overnight and was
No.
more curious than anything. What he was about to find out, though, was that this was no animal and might even be a creature from another
What?
planet. To the side of a wooden door that seems like a grey alien peeks its head around the corner and
Okay,
then starts to look around. Quite what it
your
wants
friends
or
are
what it's
playing
trying
with
to
you.
do is not clear, but it definitely seems to be moving with a distinct purpose. Some people who have seen this video are convinced that it's a fake, but the man who set up his camera swears that he had nothing to do with it at all. The
Well,
creature
you may
definitely
not
seems
have had
bothered by the
nothing to
fact
do
that
with
it's
it,
being
but
recorded,
someone
and it
else
soon
may have
moves. After that
totally
night,
been
all of
messing
the
with
strange
you.
things that were being experienced by the man and his
And
visitors
why would an
stopped.
alien,
Something that's too much of a
I mean,
coincidence
if that's
this alien
indeed
wasn't
what it is,
involved
why
in what
would
had
it
been
be
happening? Do you think this is an
behaving
alien?
like that?
And if not, what
You
else
would
could it
think
be?
an
Number
alien would
12.
know about cloaking
Ghost
devices
detected by
and
motion sensor.
stuff
Lots of
like
homes are
that.
now being installed
What would
with
he be
cameras and
doing on your
doorbells that are
property
connected to their
anyways?
owners' smart devices. So it's now easier than ever to see what's outside without having to get up from your chair and to record any suspicious activity that's going on.
Right?
One homeowner was in for the fight of his life.
I mean,
when he received a
nowadays, just about
notification
anybody
telling him
has
his movement had
access
been
to
detected
CCTV.
outside.
It's
Because when he
not
looked at
just
the
Big
video
Brother.
feed, all he could see was an orb of light.
I mean,
These are
Little
often
Brother
early
has
signs of
access to
paranormal
cameras too.
activity, but people discredit them by claiming they're tricks of the light and camera positioning. If this was true,
Oh, that's
though, why
probably
would it
just
set off
dust.
a motion sensor? There must have been a physical presence for this to happen. All that's
Dust.
seen in the footage is this orb. Therefore, the ball of light must have definitely been there, and it could mean that this is one of the most
Ghost.
important recordings of a ghost that's ever
No.
been made. The owner went to the door to try and see it for himself in real life,
Whatever.
but by the time he got there, it was gone. As the footage shows, it floated across the path.
No,
and
that
disappeared
just
into the
looks
stonework
like it's
on the other
dust, and
side.
it's
What do
probably
you think
super
it was?
close to the
Number
camera, and
11.
your just
Deranged
perception
man
is just
selling
off
bike.
a little bit.
This video was captured on a home doorbell security system and begins with a man who has approached a house with his bike. The light from behind makes it impossible to see his face, but he
Right.
begins to make some weird hand gestures towards the camera. As things progress, it also starts to seem as if he's speaking to himself and gesticulating with one arm to emphasize the point that he's making. A faint whispering can be heard, but it's not clear enough to make out what he's saying. After this, the
It's
owner
kinda
of the
weird.
house answers to the man through the intercom to see what he
Oh, I
wants.
forgot you can
After
do that.
asking how he could help, the man said that he was trying to sell a bike for some cash so he could borrow some money. Unfortunately for the man, the homeowner wasn't looking to buy a bike. He had plenty in his garage, so
Oh,
told the
that's
man that he
kinda
wasn't going to make a
scary.
sale, and then ended the conversation. The salesman looks around a
Yikes.
bit and then gives up and turns around to go somewhere else. Maybe his unusual sales technique will work on the next house.
Well,
Perhaps this man was actually trying to sell his bike to someone.
right,
Quite
but
possibly
generally
he was
you
trying
don't
to
go
gain
around
entry
trying
the
to sell
house
your
for some
bike
other
with
reason. It's videos like
that
this
technique. I'm
show
just going to
just
go
how
up to a door.
transformative
Knock,
doorbell
knock.
security
By the way, I
systems
have
like
this
this
bike for
become,
sale.
because it allows residents to fully check if the person outside is who they say they are, and that everything seems safe before they open the door.
Everything
Number
seems
10.
safe.
Ghost in parking lots.
Operative term.
Security cameras in parking lots tend to record all sorts of strange things, but this video in particular took everyone by
another
surprise.
grainy one.
These parking spots are outside a young couple's home, and they'd become concerned by late night activity
Oh,
in the
well,
area.
you can see
Fearing that it
something
could be
moving.
a local hangout for people getting up to no good, they ensured the camera was pointed towards where their car
But
was.
is it one
They
of those
waited to see if it
cameras
caught anything.
where
While
it
they didn't get any evidence
records,
of criminal activity, what
you
they did
know,
record was far
a
stranger.
new
In
layer
it,
over an
you
old
could see a
layer
ghostly
of
apparition
recordings,
walking
and
across the
maybe
street
that's
and moving at quite a
something
speed.
that
The
shows
homeowners
through
realized that you could see the
one
movement of the
recording
arms
to
and legs
another.
as it walked past.
I
And
forget
seemed
how
to
the
leave a blur of light
overlays,
behind.
whatever they
This
call that.
phenomenon is definitely human-like and is believed by many to be an actual ghost caught on camera. There doesn't seem to be any other explanation for what could cause this, does there? Number 9.
Well, I don't
Creepy
know.
man in van. We're taught from a young age to beware of creepy men in vans, and this video shows why it's so important. The security camera is set up to watch out over the backyard of a family's home, and as you can see, the kids are playing on a trampoline in the early afternoon. A white van pulls up on the
That's
road.
scary.
The man inside, who appears to be wearing a high visibility jacket, shouts out to the
What's
children,
a high
offers them some
visibility
donuts.
jacket?
The eldest of the 3 girls
Offers
knows that
them
something's not right
donuts?
about this offer though, and she leads her sisters back indoors. When
That's
the youngest
crazy
remains on the
scary.
trampoline, she runs back out, grabs her, and carries her back in. They told their mother what had happened, and she went outside to shout at the driver, who immediately drove away to avoid being caught. The incident understandably scared the family, and while
Right.
it's fortunate that the camera was there to record evidence of what happened, the parents say they'll never let their kids play outside on their own again. Number
Aw.
8. Person randomly appears.
That's tragic,
This
the
next
way
video was
people
recorded
frighten
by a
each
dashboard
other
camera
like
as
that.
The car was driving through a windswept and rainy street.
Do your
These
best
conditions
to
are
not
tricky
keep
enough
it.
for drivers who have to keep their wits around
Do your
them to look
best
for
to
potential hazards.
not
No
let it
one could have predicted
stop
what
you
would
from
happen
your
next.
life.
As he approaches a bend in the road, and with the van traveling in the opposite direction,
I know
a
that's
pedestrian
scary,
appears
but
out
shit,
of the
you
middle
gotta
of
live.
nowhere and is hit by the van and left on the floor by its front wheel.
What?
But where did this person come from? No matter how many times you watch this clip, the answer doesn't
Where did
become
that
any
person,
clearer.
what did
One
they
moment
fall
you're in
out of
this
the
clip,
bumper?
and the next, there's a person being hit. There's no sign of them on the sidewalk on either side. They don't fall down from higher up, and they
What?
definitely haven't come out of one of the vehicles. How would you explain what happened here? And is there anything any of the drivers could have done to avoid
That's
it?
weird. She
Number
almost
7.
looks like she falls out of the
Unexplained
front
crashes
bumper.
in tunnel. Throughout the world's road networks, there are some places where accidents are far more likely than others. In most cases, the reasons behind this are fairly obvious, but there are some instances where incidents are more difficult to explain. The tunnel in this next video is a prime example of this, and what
Oh,
we're seeing is
whoa.
security camera footage that was recorded in 2017. On initial impressions, it looks like a well-built road. There's plenty of space, and it's not
What
crowded,
the
but
heck?
still,
Where'd
a car
that guy
swerves
come
and
from?
crashes into the side wall. Now, you may think that one-off incidents like this can happen anywhere on good roads.
Did he come out
but
of the
a different
car?
camera a little further down the tunnel catches an equally inexplicable crash. More collisions happen here than would be statistically expected, and despite numerous attempts to find out what's causing them, authorities remain stumped. Is it something to do with the road surface? Are drivers particularly prone to losing concentration
it
on this
could
stretch
be.
of road? Or is there something more mysterious taking
Something
place?
in the
Maybe this
road.
is the tunnel version of the Bermuda
Or something
Triangle,
about
where
that,
things
the
have a higher
Bermuda
chance of
Triangle.
happening against all logic.
What is it, like an
Number
energy
6.
vortex?
Jumping in front of
Ah,
trains.
you led us
Railway
somewhere and then
stations
you
are some of the
just
most
kind of like
potentially
let us
dangerous
go.
places on any
You were
transport
like,
network,
could it be
because
this
all it
Bermuda
takes is an
Triangle force?
ill-timed
And then all of
slip
a sudden
when
you
a
were on
train's
to the next
approaching,
thing.
and results will be
The
tragic.
heck, man.
This security camera caught an incident at Gat Kapar station in Mumbai, where a woman appears to fall in front of the approaching locomotive. Everyone who sees it happen panics and the driver pulls hard on the brakes. There's no sign of where she went though, and the train drives off again. People went onto the tracks to investigate, but still.
Well, maybe she's underneath the train. You know, like her clothes and stuff got caught.
The station captured images of the woman walking through a busy concourse just a few minutes later. Staff were baffled by how this was possible and started looking for any other angles. They found one that showed the front of the train as it approached, and it confirmed that the woman did indeed fall onto the track ahead of the train. She lied flat, which allowed the train to pass over her. But how was she able to escape from underneath it and make her way to the platform on the other side is not entirely clear. Number 5. Naked stalker in window. Have you ever
Well, I mean, so far this stuff isn't so much
most people aren't particularly creepy. There's always one
creepy and strange. Just, I mean, there are elements of unusual.
This is stalker, but probably one of the weirdest and most disturbing
This is just.
to be caught on camera. This intruder had broken into his victim's
This
house.
is just weird stuff. Not necessarily creepy, scary stuff.
And he wore a Ronald Reagan mask over his face. The residents in the home spotted him.
This has got to be a dare.
As fast as he could, but so far, despite the video having been shared widely on social media, the identity of this disturbed individual has yet to
There's not enough detail for identity. What's wrong with you?
And what he would have done if he hadn't been interrupted. This doesn't seem.
I mean, other than the Ronald Reagan mask.
So does that mean that he and others like him regularly sneak into other people's houses? If this video isn't proof,
you never know.
Make sure you lock all of your doors.
Stranger things have happened.
And when you're awake, then I don't know what is. Number 4. Creepy voices in the wall. Have you ever heard strange noises around your home and not?
Yes, but have you ever had a squirrel in your walls or in your ceiling?
Doorbell security system, and it shows what happened when a woman went to investigate a peculiar sound. While it's warbled, it appears to be someone speaking, and the woman clearly looks confused about it. She looks at the doorbell,
sure
wondering
there's no
if the sound
pipes
is coming
or
from
anything?
there. But then she starts to think
Carrying
it's coming from behind
sound.
the door. If you listen to the sounds carefully, the words can be made out to be asking for help from her. She's getting increasingly concerned and thinks that there's someone behind the door, but when she opens it, there's nothing there. Does this mean that the strange voice was coming from within the wall? And if
Not
where was this
necessarily.
person in distress? After this incident, the woman hasn't heard anything like it since, and so she never found out the truth behind it. How would you explain it? Number 3.
Oh gosh.
Caught on camera. This video was
Are you
recorded on a
sure you
doorbell
were
security
hearing what
system
you were
in the
hearing?
middle of a winter's night, and is looking out across the family's porch and street. It's still and quiet.
I
The only
mean,
noise is the wind
were you
blowing through the
getting
trees.
enough
Only,
sleep?
however, movement
How
can
much
be seen on the
caffeine had you
right-hand
had
side.
that
As
day?
it's in the dark, this initially looks like it's a person approaching the house, but as they come into a
How
better
does that look
position,
like a
it
person?
soon becomes
It looks
clear
like
that
a
the figure is
shape.
slightly transparent and
There's
not
nothing
behaving like a
about
normal
that
person.
shape
This
that
is a
makes it
ghost
look like a
walking
person.
around in their
Okay,
front
now
yard.
that
She appears to be wearing a
sort of
dress and
looks
is
like a
looking around,
person. And
and
how
then
do you
walks
get
off towards
dressed
the
out of that?
driveway and vanishes again. To make things even more peculiar, while she's doing this, another object is recorded on the camera floating towards the
Oh,
front
yeah,
door.
but that's
It
probably,
looks like
that
it could be
just
a
looks
leaf
like
or an
a dust
insect of some sort.
particle.
But the timing of this is surely too coincidental
Whatever.
to not be linked with the ghostly apparition,
No.
isn't it? After seeing this, the homeowners regularly review the footage that was recorded by the
Again,
doorbell,
how
but they
does
never saw
how
anything
is
like
your
this again.
footage
How would you
recorded?
explain
I mean,
it?
does
Is
it do
female
that
ghost caught on
file
camera, or one of your
overlay
neighbors
thing
who's got
where
lost and
sometimes the
acting a
files
little
get
weird? Number 2.
diluted and show through
Photographs
each
from
other?
school.
I forget
This
how they
school
say
in
that.
Idaho has installed an impressive security camera network that allows the operator to see 9 different
Wow.
angles at the same time. While this is generally used to keep an eye on the safety of the students, one evening they recorded a series
Wow, they
of
can see
strange lights. At
everything.
first, the lights in the hallway begin to act in a way that officials from the school say has never happened before. They flicker
Yeah.
and flash and leave temporary moments of complete darkness in between. The lights come back on, and then a really peculiar thing happened.
How
It looks
often
like a
does it?
human form entity appears in one of the doorways and begins to walk about. It's transparent, but it's similar to the dimensions of a person, and it starts to float down the hallway. As this was recorded
kinda
during the summer
weird.
vacation, there had been no students or teachers in the building for weeks, so it can't have
Really?
been any of them that had stayed back late that day. Apart from one security guard who was monitoring the events from the control room at the time, there was no other person on site, and no one had been seen on the security
That had to
cameras
be nice and
prior to
creepy
this
for
happening.
that security
The school
guard.
authorities are still unable to explain what happened. Why did the lights flicker, and what was the mysterious
Well,
entity
the
that
lights
passed through?
flickering, that
The
could be a
activity set off
power
the alarms at
issue,
the school, which
right?
resulted in the police arriving
Come
to
on, that's
investigate.
easy
A
to
former
explain.
principal added further mystery when he was interviewed and said that he recalled a number of times when he heard inexplicable banging noises and objects moving behind
How
his
old
back.
is your
Could this
furnace?
therefore be an extremely haunted school? And if so,
How old
what
is
kind of
your
ghost would want
plumbing?
to be here? Number 1.
Do you have those
Rust,
old
hungry
radiators in the
alligator.
building?
One of the advantages of having your own swimming pool is that it allows you to go for a refreshing swim whenever you want. This footage shows what happened one evening when a family was chilling out in their
my
backyard,
lord.
and it's enough to make you rethink whether you ever want to go into a pool again.
Maybe
From
you
the left-hand
should.
side, you can see a small alligator creeps across the
Oh my
ground and
gosh,
slips into
he's
the
just
water,
gonna jump
and
right
it
in.
immediately
Oh,
begins
you
to
poor
mark its
thing.
territory. It swims directly towards the people, so they're forced to jump out. And when there's just one woman left, it swims right at her. There are screams and shouts from everyone else that's there, and she manages to escape before it attacks her. Luckily for everyone
Oh my
involved, this wasn't
goodness.
a fully grown alligator,
He's
so
like,
the
I want to
potential
join the
danger
party.
wasn't as great as it could have been. Still, juveniles like this have sharp enough teeth that they
Right.
can cause some serious damage. So it's fortunate that the family managed to get away from it in time.
Cool but scary.
Unsurprisingly, that was the
Scary
end of
but
their pool
cool.
party, and they went indoors. When they came back out the next day, the alligator was gone, and they began to install a fence around their yard to prevent it from ever happening again. Which of those did you find to be the scariest?
Well,
And what would
those
you have
weren't
done if you were
necessarily
there in real
scary
life
per
when it
se.
happened?
That
Make
was
sure to
more or
let us know in the
less like
comment
a
section. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen
fun
right now.
watch
See
it
you
just
next
to
time.
watch it video. There was nothing scary or anything like that in any of that. But it was fun to watch. Yep. Got another scary one to do after this. Maybe we'll do the scariest monsters and cryptids ever. This video was okay. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't up to par with what we've been finding the last 3 or 4 videos, but it's okay. We'll take it. See you in the next video.